Okay, this time I'm going to show you how to spiral bind your books, your art books, so that when you're using them as resources you can fold them down flat and let them lay flat on your on your work surface. So I do this to a lot of the books, especially ones that we use as book club here in the studio, and people are always wanting to do this to their books. So here's one that I use a ton. I love, love, love this book. Highly recommend this book. Art at the Speed of Life by Pam Carricker is one of my all-time favorites. And what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to cut the spine off of it, and to do that we have, this is called a stack cutter. So over here I'm going to try and force it under the thing, and I can't. So I'm going to have to do something a little bit scary to begin with. I'm going to have to tear the cover off. Yikes. Makes me a little nervous, but there we go. We're going to tear the cover off, tear the back cover off. So there's my front and my back cover. But does the book block fit underneath it? It still doesn't. It's still a little bit thick. So I'm going to have to take this first section and tear it apart as well. And I'm trying to be careful so that I could use an X-Acto knife. Oh, maybe that would have been a good idea. But I want to make sure that I don't tear up into the pages. But what I need to do is make this thinner so that it'll go through my stack cutter. Stack cutters are great. It'll cut almost an entire magazine. Actually, it will cut an entire magazine, cut the spine off of it. What I need to do is decide how much of the spine I want to cut. So to do that, I'm going to actually measure on here how wide my book is, and it's a little over 8 inches. So if I cut my pages so that they're 8 inches wide, I should have a perfect size book here. So I'm going to line these up. You can't quite see it from there, but there's numbers right along here. It's a ruler. So I'm going to line the edges of my page up, and then I'm going to try and scoot this over so you can see this handle. Maybe let's move this back or up a little bit. There we go. I'll move it up a little bit for now. And so then I'm just going to bring this edge down and cut, and see how that cuts that entire stack. I'm going to do that to everything. I'm going to cut it down to 8 inches. Some of them I might need to finish up on the trimmer. Make sure that you don't get your pages out of order either. So there's page 46, page 47. I'm doing good here. What I am going to do is take it to my trimmer now. I need to make this come down a little farther that way. So I've got the book block, the inside pages, pretty well cut. Oops, sorry about that. Pretty well cut here, but I'm going to take it to my slicer here just to finish off the edges here. On some of them they didn't cut all the way through, and my front and my back cover I want to do that too. So again, remembering that I'm cutting my pages to 8 inches wide, put it on my RotaTrim and slice the pages down. There we go. And paying careful attention not to get my pages out of order. Now I think I've got my entire book block, except for maybe these back few pages, cut down to 8 inches. Take these back few pages, same things, put them on my RotaTrim, slice that down, and there we go. So, and you can see I use this book a lot because I have pages tabbed and everything. I'm not so worried about that. I just want to put the spiral binding in these edges so that when I use this book that it will lay flat. So again, I want to take my front and my back cover, and your front and your back cover you can go maybe a 1/4 inch over so that they kind of stick out a little bit. They don't have to be completely flush. They can be, but they don't have to be. So I'm going a 1/4 inch over. So there we have it. I've got my entire book, the spine of it's cut off in a couple simple steps, and now I'm going to take it to my Zutter Bind-it-all. And that is this nifty little machine. You guys can see that. And what I want to do is I want to pull, there's a lever out here. I'm going to pull the stabilizing piece out. I'm going to do this. You're going to have to see it sideways. Hopefully that's all right. And I want to make sure that this piece right here is pushed so that it's keeping my paper from coming up. It's pushed to level D, which is for inner pages. I want to make sure that my paper can sit right up next to this edge. You can see that right there. It's pushed all the way up so that it closes this opening here. And I'm going to take my paper one stack at a time. Whatever will fit through the opening should be fine. And I'm going to run it all the way up to the edge till it stops. And then I'm going to push this back. And then I'm going to turn it around. And I'm going to do that also at the bottom. So I'm doing a set of holes at the top and at the bottom. You could do continuous. I just find that this is easiest to line up, just doing holes at the top and at the bottom. So I'm going to put a set of wires here and a set of wires here. All right, important, don't get this out of order. So I'm going to turn it over and set it off to the side and take my next selection of pages and do the same thing. I'm going to push it in till it stops, punch, turn it around, push it until it stops, and punch. And just keep doing that until you get your entire stack punched through. Okay, so now I've got all of my, I'm not done with that yet. I've got all of my pages punched with the holes. You can see the holes right there and there. I want to make sure again that they align. And they look great. I don't know if you can see that or not. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to take the front cover and I want to flip it around like I've opened my book and it's turned back on itself. And again, make sure that it's all aligned. Then I'm going to take my wire. This is a 1-inch double O wires, also made by Zutter. And I'm going to count off, there's 6 holes here, so I'm going to count off 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to snip with my wire cutters right there. So now I have a section of the wire that's 6 wide. I'm going to feed this through the front of my book. And then see how that locks the pages in right there? When I turn it all the way through, I want those pages to be locked in. And I want to do the same thing for the bottom part. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to cut. Feed my wire through the front, and it goes through all the pages and the covers, and turn it around. Now, this is where I want to make sure that my tool is turned to the proper thickness. And I don't know if you can see, let me see. You can see right up in here, depending on the size of the wire that you have, you can turn this knob and make it the right size. So it's already set at 1 inch. So that means that it's not going to clamp my wires too much and it's not going to clamp them too little. It's going to be just right. So I'm going to put my wire in. This opening right here is going to go down just like that into the machine. And then again, just like I was cutting, I'm going to push this lever back until it stops. And there's my wire is closed just right. And same thing here, push it back. Now if I want to trim, I can take my wire cutters and trim off any extra, close your eyes when you do that, or have eye protection on. Snip those off. snip and snip. So I just don't have any sharp little wires sticking out. That one's hard. There we go. Now, here comes the magic part. You roll that back cover back into position, and you have your book perfectly wire bound, so that when I want to lay this flat, or if I want to turn it back on itself and look at only one page at a time, it lays beautifully. Okay, so that is how to use the Zutter, the Stack Cutter, and the RotaTrim trimmer to cut your book down and apply a wire binding.